So, warm welcome to my channel, Teresa. I hope that you are doing well.
Yes, I am, and I hope you are too.
And I saw that you are having your hands in multiple pies. You are educator, entertainer. So kindly tell me something about that.
Right. I have been a teacher and an assistant principal, as well as a curriculum and course designer for about 10 to 15 years.
Wow,
As an entertainer, I have my foot in a lot of different areas of art. As an actress, filmmaker, as an art author, and also with music. I have been for 20 years a music manager as well as a recorded performer. Yeah,
wow.
and as an entrepreneur, I dabble with some e-commerce. I'm developing an e-commerce store, and I always have little ideas that I always kind of try to put out there. So that's my joy in my life,
That's
doing those things.
fascinating. And I guess
Yeah,
I can relate with you when it comes to movies and when it comes to being a educator because I've been teaching English for like 7 years.
right?
And
Yeah,
furthermore, I'm a YouTuber. I create podcasts with creative people like you. So that's the point of doing this thing.
right.
And I'm like humongous movie buff. I'm really into movies. So I would love to know your perception towards it. Like, who are your favorite actors? What kind of movies do you like to watch? Your favorite genre? So enlighten me about that, Teresa.
Oh, well, I'm quite eclectic with my choices. I can watch anything, I can listen to anything. For me, it's more about the concept of art
Hmm.
and how well that art has been performed or delivered to the audience. So I sometimes binge watch. Right now, my favorite creator for television is Tina Fey with 30 Rock as well as the Four Seasons. I thought they were done very well. So that was my binge watching stuff that was going on.
Interesting.
Yeah. For movies, there's so many names I can name. Of course, to me, the top movie creator is Steven Spielberg.
Wow.
So he's, I think he has a Midas touch when it comes to creating successful movies. Pixar, I love Pixar movies as well because of their moral stories, right? They always have something good to learn from those stories, which is great for kids, of course. Yeah.
Hmm.
And as an author, I come up with story ideas and then I choose who would be the best audience for this, as well as what genre type would it be best as. So I'm thinking more themes and going based on those themes. Would it be a great theme if it was a science fiction on Mars or more of a story for young adults, right? That kind of thing. So, yeah, that's how I
So,
select the way I write.
as you are wearing multiple hats, I would love to know, like, which is the job that you admire the most, or you feel more connected towards?
Well, I think my best passions are with writing. I've
Wow.
always had great ideas. I have a list called Things to Write, and
Hmm.
I'm always adding to it. I don't think I'll ever get through that list in my lifetime. I'd have to be definitely dedicated for all the hours of the day to get through that list, right? But
Interesting.
I have, yeah, I've written a lot. And over the years, of course, like any author, I don't send everything out all the time. But this year, I kind of made that a goal to get some of those stories that have been sitting in my files and sending them out and seeing what happens with them.
Makes sense. And what are some of the books that you have already written, Teresa?
Oh, okay. Well, I am an award-winning author for many types of books and plays.
Wow.
So I've won awards for plays, for children's stories, for essays, flash fiction, short stories, and that sort of thing. My novel is actually a trilogy. Hang on, I'll hold it up for, oh, let's see if I can get it in
Yeah,
the screen.
that is
Yeah, it's called Teresa.
okay. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And it's based on a true story. Um, in Canada, we have a large Indigenous population, and in some of those Indigenous communities, there are some difficulties, especially with the growing concern of violence and gangs and drug use, trafficking, that sort of thing. So I met two police officers and some cadets who were Indigenous, and they gave a testimony of starting the cadet program because of the gang violence and the way the youth are getting involved. And so the police started the cadet program to try to deter some of those kids. The police figured, no one's going to show up, no one's going to show up. But 180 kids showed up on the first day. And they grew to become the world's largest cadet program with 1,500 members. It really changed the lives of the youth, the family, and even the community. It had an impact on the community. Now, I'm not going to tell you how it all ended. You got to get the book to find out. But the first book, Cree Boy, is the first book in the trilogy, which focuses on just one family. And uh, the boy in the young man in the story is kind of stuck in two worlds. He loves traditional powwow dancing, which he is involved in, and his family and the culture of his background. And then there's the problem with being initiated into gangs.
Hmm.
And he already has family members who are involved, and they kind of get him involved, right? So it's that kind of conflict, right? And the second book will be more focused on the cadet program and its success and how it changed the youth and helped the youth go from being in gangs to becoming leaders and A students, that kind of thing. And so the third book in it will be about community healing because it is a violent, dysfunctional community, which some Indigenous communities experience, unfortunately. So the idea is how they can heal in the cultural sense, right? Um, that's pretty much this,
Cree boy.
right? It was,
Cree boy.
yeah, and it was already, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the name of your book, Cree boy, right?
Oh yes, Cree Boy. Yes, and it was this book was designed especially for reluctant readers. So kids in school who don't really want to read a novel study or have trouble, maybe they have some barriers in their reading ability, like dyslexia, or maybe they're just learning English. They might be an immigrant. So this is a book for them. And it has becoming so popular with teachers in especially Western Canada that I created a novel study guide for teachers, which will be coming out in fall. And it's likely that it will be offered by the publisher for free because we
Wow.
had that discussion, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
great. And I'm sure
Yeah.
my viewers will, like from our conversation, they would be compelled to buy your book because it sounds fascinating. So I hope that they will eventually also buy your book and they take something out of it.
I hope so. As an author, of course, I hope so.
Yeah. And Teresa, that brings me to the next question. Like if someone comes to you and they want to make a movie adaptation of your book, who do you think would be the right actors for it?
Oh, I thought about that because when I started this project, I wanted to make sure I was writing properly. So I got an MFA, a Master's in Fine Arts in Creative Writing from the University of British Columbia. And they suggested I write it as a TV show. So I did write it initially as a screenplay for a movie. And while I was doing that, of course, I was thinking, who could do this? Who could do this? And I'm thinking, some well-known Indigenous people like Adam Beach, Graham Greene, Howie Miller, who's a comedian, and a whole bunch of other names came up in mind. And for the two police officers, of course, I was thinking Brad Pitt and George Clooney, right? That kind of thing. Now, of course, years have passed by since then, and artists, they come and go. And so, if somebody wanted to have the rights to create it into a movie or even a TV show, of course, I'm pretty okay with their choices. Okay, it would be great to have a well-known
Yeah.
actor in or actress, of course, in the show or movie, right? But I'm
Yeah.
not that picky.
You, as you spoke about actress, who do you think would be the like? Even though if you're not picky, but if you had to go with actresses, who do you think would be the right one?
Well, in that area, I'm not sure. I There had been a few when I first started this, which was in 2014. So of course time has passed by, and I did think of some people back then. And now, of course, again, actors or actresses have come and gone. And again, I haven't thought about that in years. So I really not sure on that part.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. And by the way, who are the actors and actresses you admire in general?
Well, I did mention George Clooney and
Hmm.
Brad Pitt.
That's
Brad
great.
Pitt's always fun for adventures,
Yeah,
and George
definitely.
Clooney, he has a smarter way about him. Um, I, oh my goodness, now that you say that, I'm thinking names, names. I can see their faces. There's so many. Cumberbatch, I think I said that
Yeah,
name right.
Benedict.
Uh,
Benedict.
yeah, yeah. When I was younger, people like Angelina Jolie were, some of my favorites because she did the adventure as well as serious movies, right? I mentioned Tina Fey. Right now, she is, I admire her right now. And, then there's the comedy people like Jim Carrey or Jamie Lee Curtis,
Hmm.
um, who who I just admire their ability to really, you know,
Yeah.
go over and above to get that comedy
True.
into the movies or TV shows, whatever they're doing, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice,
Mhm.
nice. Like whenever I meet people who are passionate about movies, I can talk with them till the cows come home. Like I'm
Oh,
very
great.
much into movies,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm also a big fan of some of the people that you mentioned, like Brad
Uh-huh.
Pitt,
Right.
Tom Cruise,
Right.
then Stallone. So
Yeah.
these are
Sorry.
some of
Yeah.
my actors.
I was just distracted there for a second there, but
Yeah, it's
it's
all right.
okay.
Uh, yeah. Where was I? Even I got distracted. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. But
And
no, movies are awesome. Yeah.
what are the challenges of as you are into writing, Teresa? What are the challenges that you have to come up with, and what are the pros and cons of being a author?
Well, I'm going to address my answer for emerging artists,
Hmm.
because I'm sure that there are people who are watching this who want to know, how can I do this for myself? I'm going to strongly suggest start with your local writing group.
Okay.
If there isn't a writing group, start one, and you'll get people. You'll definitely get people, and it's great to share the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to writing. It's also great to get good constructive criticism, not the people who are going to say, "Oh, you were great." It's like when you go to sing at karaoke bars and
Hmm.
everyone's going, "Yay!"
Yeah.
But they're telling their friend, "I've never heard anything so bad before," right? You definitely need professional feedback. There are organizations who can give you professional feedback at a very low price. So, in a lot of areas around the world, there are writer guilds. For example, in Alberta, we have the Alberta Writers Guild, right? You do have to pay for membership, but it's so worth it. Networking is definitely the way to go. Going to writers' workshops, going to writing conferences, definitely. You got to it's a business, right? And that's what I think a lot of writers forget. It's a business. So you definitely have to work on getting your your name out there in social media as well. I used to write blogs, but I did get away from them. And actually, recently, I've been thinking about should I get back to it, especially as I'm writing more and I'm getting more publishers who are interested in my projects. So I mentioned Cree Boy, but I do have other projects that are with publishers right now. And so that's good for me. Going to conferences, I found it's easier to talk to potential literary agents and publishers who show up at those conferences. A lot of times they'll take your manuscript right there, so always carry your manuscript with you when you go to conferences, and they will read it overnight if they're interested, and they will get back to you a lot faster than if you send it to the publisher and then you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and wondering. Yeah, definitely also join writing contests. I've done that when I first started, and um, a lot of them are great. So do it, get yourself out there and start an artist portfolio. It's basically a CV for artists. So you're keeping track of everything you're publishing, where you're sending it off to. I have a spreadsheet for where I send projects, but I also send projects out to different places, right? Depends on what it is, right? So yeah, that's pretty much the things that I do to help me, right?
Wow, I'm still processing all these things, and
Oh,
uh,
okay.
no, like I'm really wondering, like, don't you ever feel burnout as you're doing a lot of things, Teresa? And if yes, like, what sort of things do you do for getting rejuvenation or refreshment out of your busy life?
That is a very good question. And I'm going to address that as a writer. So, what I do for myself as a writer is I choose a time that I write. It helps the brain to set up that, oh, this is my writing time.
Hmm.
And I also kind of, this is my cheat. Uh, I was hoping to show you a sample, but I don't have one beside me. When I get overwhelmed, because I am that ADHD person who has to do a lot of different projects at once.
Yeah.
Um, I have in my, a lot of times I'll sit in my bathroom robe. So, but I have
Hmm.
these little tiny square pieces of paper, and on each paper is a task. So the task might be submit this short story to publishers or apply for a grant, a writer's grant, um, or something like that, right? And so I'll just pick one out of the pocket, and that's what I'll do for that day. And that's when I'm feeling overwhelmed, right? Then I'll go to that, right? That's my go-to thing. Otherwise, it's really commitment,
Hmm.
right? I have to recognize that I don't want to be on my deathbed going, oh, I wish I did this. I wish I did
Yeah.
that.
No
Right?
regrets.
Right. Yes. So if I'm going to say I'm a writer,
Hmm.
I have to be writing and I have to be sending my projects out to publishers or writing contests. Same with music or anything else that I do, right? It's too easy for people to go, yeah, I write, I have a story idea, and they never do anything with it.
Hmm.
So even, when I first started, there's also a fear of sending things out. So I would give myself little pats on the back if I said, did even one small step to work on a project. It might be get more paper for my photocopier, research publishers of a certain genre, stuff like that, right? Yeah, so that helped me, right?
Interesting. And who are the authors or writers that you look up to, and they are kind of like inspirations or idols for you?
Okay, well, with Cree Boy, that's a young author's book. So my inspiration there is a local Albertan
Okay.
author named Marty Chan. Marty, you got to look this guy up. He is amazing. He writes so many books for especially middle grade students. His workshop as an author. He does Zoom meetings with schools and classrooms, and he adds, there you go, that's the fella right there. And he adds a lot of animation and video magic
Okay.
to, yeah, to it. You got to watch one of his videos. He's great.
Wow.
He's the guy to learn from when it comes to how to do author visits for young people, right? Yeah, and knowing how to present, there is again, there's a business side to everything. So you really need to know how to market yourself and how to present yourself when you're doing, launches, author visits, um, book selling in a bookstore, that kind of thing, right? Or even giving workshops on how to write. Yeah. And especially if you don't have the writing experience, I definitely recommend, again, joining the writing groups, joining a guild, and taking courses in how to write. There's also many, many books. For example, McGee, he is a guru when it comes to writing. A lot of times I will pick up a book, a creative writing book that is highly recommended, and I'll read it. And as I'm reading it, I'll start writing little notes about the story I am planning, like little outlines and
Hmm.
notes, because as I'm reading, I am getting inspired and I'm getting ideas for that story. So a lot of my books have a lot of writing in them,
It seems
little
like you
notes.
are very precise and meticulous with your work. Like you are really devoted towards it, and at the same time you are taking it in a serious, like kind of like meticulous. You are, you want to give your 100% towards it.
Yes, of course, we have to balance life,
Hmm.
right? And make sure that we are doing other things. It can be, for me, if I can sit down and start writing, and before I know it, 6 hours have gone by, right? I don't know about other authors if that happens to them, but I really get into the zone or
Yeah.
into the world that I'm creating, right? So it is very easy to feel frustrated or get too involved in one
Hmm.
project. And so, yes, definitely keeping that balance, keeping a schedule for writing is always important
And you already, I guess, answered to my
to
next
me.
question. I was gonna ask you that are you a
Okay.
space cadet? That you are lost in your own world. You have that thing where you are like a lot of writers have that. They are space cadet. They are like they have their own world. I guess you have the same thing, right?
Right.
Like, as you mentioned that it
Yes.
can pass like 6 hours. So it's big
Yes.
volumes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can give some advice on that. If, for example, I am currently writing a true story novel. Actually, we're starting with a screenplay because it's about a fellow named Kelly Hoffer, who's a well-known um, photographer and artist in Calgary, Alberta, but he's originally from a Hutterite colony. Now, if you don't know what Hutterites are, think Amish, the Amish community, who have, who isolate themselves on colonies, live a more pure religious lifestyle. They're
Right.
farmers, that kind of thing. And that's what the Hutterites are. Now, with the Hutterite community, they're very strict about the way you have to behave. Now, Kelly decided that he's gay, and or Kelly is gay, and um, so he escaped his colony. And it just so happened that the BBC were filming a documentary on Hutterites during that time. So they filmed him escaping, right? And I also taught on Hutterite colonies, so I know their history, I know their culture. I know them quite well as friends. And I do believe that if you're going to write about anything, you really have to get into the mindset of the people you're writing about, right? So you hear about people who go, "Oh, I'm going to write a story about Paris," even though I've never been in Paris. And it's just not the same, right? It's too shallow. To really feel the emotions, because writing and art is all about emotions, you
Hmm.
have to experience it yourself.
Interesting. Wow. And when it comes to reading in general, like when you are fond of, as you are fond of reading, what sort of genre fascinates you the most?
Honestly, history, which is kind
History.
of funny. Yeah,
Mhm.
because when I was in high school, I, I did not like social studies
Okay.
at all. Yeah, but now I just love history, and I love history relating to women
Okay.
because we don't have enough of that. When I
Mhm.
was in school, I thought our textbooks were quite boring, and I thought maybe that's why I wasn't interested back then as a student. So my goal is to write history and make it exciting, right? So that's my goal. And that might be why teachers are very interested in Boy because it technically is history, it's contemporary history, and it talks about Indigenous culture. So I do have an Indigenous background, just in case you're wondering. And so it's good mix for, both English and social studies curriculums, right?
And Teresa, if you had to meet, like a historical figure, which figure would you like to meet, and what sort of questions would you like to ask to her or him?
Okay, that's great. I have big admiration for Queen Elizabeth I,
Mhm.
because she really rocked the world, right? But another one that would be less known is a lady whose name was Running Eagle. And this is indigenous, of course. I call her the Joan of Arc of the prairies because her story is very similar to Joan of Arc. You know, she did a vision quest. She really believed to be a warrior, she had to remain a virgin. And her whole vision was to save the indigenous people. And there is a mountain named after her in Montana.
Okay.
And I do have actual ancestral relationships or an ancestral relation with her, as
Wow.
well as another fellow named whose real name was Hugh Monroe, who
Mhm.
joined her community, her indigenous community, at that time in the 1800s. And he did some remarkable stuff as well. I'm very lucky that I can read the history of my own ancestry and even I have European ancestry as well, and even East, Slavic
Mhm.
ancestry as well. So it's always interesting because I find these interesting people from my background, and then I go, "Oh, that would make a great story. I want to write about that." So I am planning with my Indigenous background to write a TV series that reflects their lives as well as the history and culture of Indigenous people.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. And what are your guilty pleasures, Teresa, as you do a lot of hard work and you are kind of you are workaholic. So what sort of things you try to do so that you can forget work for a while?
Oh, you know what? Again, I do live a balanced life. I know it sounds like I do nothing else but this work, right, right, right. But I actually do enjoy my yard. I live on acreage, and right now we have geese and swans and
Wow.
ducks coming to visit, and birds migrating. It's beautiful, very peaceful. But I love hiking in the mountains. Anything outside basically
Mm.
is something I do. Of course, music, performing, singing is an art thing. I basically I took all my hobbies and created them as um, things I can do to make money, like side hustles, right? Yeah, so and teaching, I love teaching and especially working with kids. I think kids are
Yeah,
full of joy and
definitely.
it's always, so those are my things. Yeah.
Yeah, I can resonate with that because when it comes to kids, like even I deal with a lot of kids, and like I always feel positive whenever I'm like around them. They have this
Yeah,
genuine vibe and they're kind of like innocent because
right,
they are not exposed with the world yet. So
right.
It's really good vibes, around them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And on that note, Teresa, I guess I won't hold you any longer. One more
Oh,
time, I
okay,
would
great.
like to tell my viewers check out her book. That is,
Sure.
can you show the book,
Yeah,
Teresa? Please,
absolutely.
boy.
Yeah, I also have an author's website. It's teresawouters.com.
All right.
So,
Hmm.
uh, do I need to spell that or will you have that
No,
somewhere
yeah,
in
I'll do it.
credits?
So do
Okay,
check out
sounds
her
great.
book, and I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. And Teresa, thank you for your precious time. I had a whale
I
of a time
appreciate.
having this conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been great. I appreciate your time. All
Okay,
right.
take care, Teresa, and we'll catch up soon. Bye.
Great. Bye-bye. Take care.